But why during this debate that everyone in the country is watching,
He couldn't do it.
just real quick, like
Yeah.
just say, yes, I denounce white supremacy altogether. Like, just make it real clear.
Right.
Why not?
Why was it so difficult?
All right, we're
Thanks,
recording.
man. Holy crap.
Welcome to the Millennial Experience.
We are live.
We're alive.
Yeah.
Man, we missed you last week.
Sorry, bro. Yeah, I just had some stuff. Yeah, and it would have been awkward to answer the phone, but it would have been. But anyway, yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
We're going to do another one soon with the three of us. We're going to have Hollis back on because
Yeah,
it
man.
was a lot of
Holy
fun talking to
crap.
him.
No, yeah, I was listening to it and I was cracking up, freaking cracking up. I felt so bad that I missed it. But yeah, it was great. Yeah, I definitely want to have one with Hollis. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was telling him it's like we got this new table, as you people
Yeah,
at home can see.
It's soft.
It's nice and soft. This would be good
Yeah.
for playing like Monopoly on, or like
Yeah.
some family board game.
It memorizes how I like to lay my hands across the table.
But
So that there's armholes here when I get back.
now I can have this, like I can just fold it up after the podcast, tuck it in the closet, and then I have all this room to use my studio.
This is nice.
So,
You think we can color on this at some point?
with like crayons?
Or something that may look better on it. I don't know if crayons will work, but I was thinking those like pens that were like silver and shit.
Sure,
and, like,
man.
Tag it up.
Why not? Yeah. Put your gang signs and stuff all over it.
That S, the South Side S.
The Slipknot S. Man, everyone drew that on everything back in the early 2000s.
Holy crap. Oh man. Oh, dude. POTUS getting COVID.
Yeah.
That is kind of crazy because earlier today I was talking about that with someone who was mentioning that when Boris Johnson
From the UK?
from UK got infected, his approval ratings went up, and it was a sympathy approval,
Oh,
Rise.
That makes sense.
which, I mean, I don't know why anybody would fake getting COVID, but I believe there does seem to be a breadcrumb trail that makes sense for everyone there getting COVID. But I guess according to the timing, if he is infected, he would have been contagious during the debate.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
Biden's gotten tested since then, and he
And he's
came back
he's all good.
negative.
Probably the mask.
He wasn't wearing a mask
No,
during the
I
debate.
know, but how much they wear them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it does look like the masks have really been helping. I mean, because
It
you
makes
can,
sense.
yeah, you can have the economy keep going with the masks on and social distancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm glad to see that that's happening. Like going out to eat or
Mhm.
going grocery shopping,
Grocery
like
shopping.
seeing that it's like the world's
Yeah.
still functioning, which is
Yeah.
what we need. And people are able to do it as long as they're wearing a mask.
Mhm.
I think people should be religiously washing their hands
Yeah.
all the time, which
And-
I already did before this
Yeah.
started.
And carrying hand sanitizer for mobile, like, you never know when you are forced to touch something that a lot of other people are touching.
Yep.
You know? I mean, especially doorknobs and handles. Holy crap. It's just insane. But yeah, I'm actually really interested to see how this continuing the mask covering and social distancing will affect the this flu season.
Yeah, I think it's going to help a lot. Like,
Yeah.
imagine, what if we see flu rates drop by like
Like
80%?
a huge difference from last year.
That'd be
you know?
incredible.
Just like a huge difference from
And
last year.
hopefully that would be a sign to people that we need to take a hint from like these Asian countries that are used to just like anytime there's a weird sickness going around, or
Yeah,
if there's
it's mask time.
if you feel sick at all, like you should be always wearing a mask.
I think, and I've heard a couple of people say this, that, I mean, some people put it some ways, but I think about it in another. But I've heard people say we don't think like I don't think COVID will ever go away, but it's more like I've also heard I don't think the mask thing will ever go away. I agree, but I agree it's not just because of COVID. I think it's because of global warming necessities, behavioral changes that we're going to have to make regardless. Like whatever happened in China, whatever emerged was because of this. These were natural processes. This wasn't some mad scientist who purposely intentionally had a plan for this. Like, dude, this emerged in this kind of climate, in this kind of warming and changing, in this point in time of extinction, in carbon use, in moving minerals around on Earth. And they predicted this, that there was going to be new sicknesses. And in fact, as a contemporary human, we're not fucking worried about lions or bears anymore. It's sicknesses now. Sicknesses. And so I think regardless, unless global warming was not happening, I think this is one of those things that now we have to do because we didn't want to fucking do anything.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of those things.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of those things, I think. So, yeah, I agree, which is going to be a good thing to have a progressive, forward-thinking, scientifically literate population and not Stone Age thinking.
Yeah.
Tribal thinking, I think, more than anything. God, that gets in the fucking way.
Yeah, it's amazing how far we have to come still to get to just the baseline of like where we all understand science at a very basic, very minimum, like first grade level as far as the planet's concerned.
Yeah.
There's so many people that just have various belief systems that are really getting in the way of progress.
You know, I agree. There's a lot of power and resistance from people who would rather not have their children learn evolution. But honestly, look, the only thing I can tell you is that if we had good overall coverage, chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, and not only that, but let's say those 4 or 5 teachers in those core like STEM classes, let's call them, in high school, that all those teachers were actually having a shared curriculum where they knew that at the end of the day, these tools were for critical thinking. They weren't for being saved and used for an exam and then forgotten soon after. But because of it, because of the way that you were using that information, the chemistry and the mathematics, you don't forget it. It's like a tool now. It's just a thinking tool. You walk around with it and it's in your head.
How do we take the school system, which to me appears to be a system that is primarily focused on passing exams, like getting the students to figure out how to pass these very specifically made exams, which doesn't necessarily lead to retention of information. How do we move away from a system that's so heavily focused on passing exams into a system that's heavily focused on learning and retaining the knowledge?
I think that there's a stronger relationship than we think between the home life and the school life of students of any age. And I think you can have a lot more subconscious stress than you may think. For example, for me growing up, school, I was lucky enough to have parents who did at the very least understand that you needed the education, which honestly I think the background of your parents' education is really going to manifest itself in how seriously they take your education. And one thing I remember is my dad would always make sure we had finished our homework, whatever we were doing, but that was the question, if we had done our homework. And they would participate in the student teacher conferences. They'd always get good mentions, likes. And occasional, your son is a little chatty, but that wasn't really me. That was my older brothers. But I was also religious during that time, So there were patches of time where if I got frustrated with school, I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to need this in heaven. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Oh man.
and so, and so luckily I had parents who at least showed me, like at least made sure I was doing my work. And I don't believe a lot of parents even minimally worry about that. I think they really only worry until there's alerts from school from your child, rather than being proactive about it and just assuring that you don't get that call or that conference or anything. Also behavior, which again, this is all complicated, you know? It's like hormonal primates that are all just shoved into classes together, expected to be able to sit down, not tap your leg, you know, and your freaking leg is shaking that whole time. It's just going up and down. I mean,
waking up before the sun comes up in order to get on a bus and then ride an hour.
Your first class is fucking algebra at 8 a.m. and you're fucking learning out of a bloodshot eye. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I think that's where the home life comes into play, because how well does your son or daughter who is a student here, let's say elementary all the way to high school aged, how well have we taught them time management? How well have we taught them nutrition? How well have we taught them
goal
physical education and goal setting? How much have we taught them to value education, the opportunity that for free for 12 years
free,
free. I mean, because everybody pitches in, that your child can learn like stuff like where in the past you would have freaking died for your child to learn how to read. And we're still having issues with people having an attitude about reading and doing math.
Yeah.
What? Come on.
That's
not where the
that's up to the parents.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying it really ties in with your home life, the attitude you're going to have at school.
Mm-hmm.
Like what example are you setting for your child to see when you have an attitude with the teachers, when you're expecting them to be the babysitter and your freaking kid is seeing that? You shouldn't treat teachers like that. Pay them more then. They should be getting paid well now. I mean, the driving force of an educated workforce is those freaking teachers who get paid shit, but they freaking love their students and they need to make sure that they learn.
I know.
They're heroes.
I think we should take police officers and teachers and make those positions highly competitive, super high paying. Like, they should take a ton of education and schooling to get to where you're qualified to even be able to do it. Teachers do. Police don't. But I think those two jobs, whatever standards they're at, they need to be brought up. Especially as far as teachers' pay are concerned and police officers, from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not going to get the kind of people that like yes, you will get a ton of people that are just passionate about teaching kids, which is one benefit
I think
of not paying as well is like, regardless of whether or not you get paid, they're going to be there because they're passionate about teaching. I think those people are rare. Unfortunately, I don't think every teacher is like, they're doing it just because they love the kids and they want, to make the world a better place. I think a lot of them, in my experience in high school, were like, you'd come in and they'd be like, especially like home ec and stuff. It's like, all right, well, just like make sure you try to work on homework or something while you're in here. And then they'll just sit there on their phone, or like, there's a lot of teachers that just aren't like all there all the time. They're not there to be passionate. They're not there to teach all the time. I think if we took their salaries, made a teacher's salary like $100,000 a year, not only would you find teachers that are super, super incredibly qualified, but it would be highly competitive. So only the best of the best would make it through, just like doctors or heart surgeons. And I think the same could apply to police officers. Like, if it's a highly competitive, really well-paying job, you're not going to get these people that are just like, they just need a job, you're going to get people that have worked their ass off to become the best at this, so that when they do it, they're going to do it right.
I understand you in, well, I'll just say, I don't think Maricopa High School is I don't
Not a
think there
great
was very
example.
many good examples of a teacher there, because in retrospect, there's a lot of teachers which I'm questioning their background education now, where like one of the science teachers also attended the church right across the street from the school. And so
that's confusing.
yeah, and that's confusing.
Especially if it's a
because-
biology teacher.
Yeah,
Like, that's
and-
when it gets crazy.
And the crazy thing is that in that science class, I don't remember
Like
the subject matter
science?
anymore. Yeah, it makes me wonder if there was even any science at all. But then I also had a chemistry teacher who did look like they knew what they were talking about, and it also sort of had a little bit of the atheist sort of way of mannering,
And
like
you
the
remember-
words. And I remember how well in that class things were taught. But at the same time, do you remember how, or have you ever heard how in school systems there's like limits to what they can do? You got to teach out of this book, you got to teach like this, and you got to teach like that. Have you ever heard that before? Look, like in university, I've heard teachers just talk about that.
Yeah, where they give you the curriculum. and they say
you
it
have a
has to-
restriction about what books you can teach out of.
Hmm.
And so you get in high school these sets of like books that you read, and it's like you don't realize like that they probably had that out of like 3 choices and thought, well, then maybe this is the best one to use. When in fact, like for example, The Demon Haunted World has been a book for freaking decades now.
Yeah.
And you don't freaking see that a common critical thinking book with science in it used at all, and the education system doesn't think that that's a good idea. Why don't they want
That
people
could
to
be a
critical
textbook.
think? Yeah, you could go chapter by chapter, and I think students would love the shit out of that.
It's brilliant.
They would love that class. They'd come out going like, fucking my brain, it's fucking worked out. Worked out.
Yeah, man. I just read the chapter on hallucinations.
Great, right? That's one of my favorite chapters.
And that's the chapter where they talk about the Salem witch trials quite a bit, or he talks about the Salem witch trials. It blew my mind that during that small period of time when the Salem witch trials were going on, and it's not just Salem, but the witch trials,
Yeah.
like where witches were being burned at the stake all over the world, not just in Oregon. But there was one city in Germany that over just a 1-year period had like thousands of people burned at the stake just because they were accused of being witches. Fuck. And Carl Sagan said during the time that the witch burning was going on, the estimates are in the high 100,000s, like 800,000-900,000 people were burned at the stake or hanged or just taken out into the streets and killed. I'm going to reset the camera real quick. But it blew my mind, just the sheer numbers. Like if you put yourself in each of those little girls' positions, like being tied to a post in front of all your friends and family in the middle of the town square, having them pile wood all around your feet and light it on fire, and just like smelling your own skin burning off.
Right.
Like he said, it could be over 1 million people that suffered that exact fate during that period of time. And so that during that chapter, like when people say, why does it matter if people are superstitious, or why does it matter if people are religious? Like it's not doing any harm. Like there's statistical, like
It can
hard
manifest.
data on what kind of harm it really can do. And that, I mean, that's just straight up superstition. That's like no evidence whatsoever to show that was ever a possibility to be a witch.
Yeah,
So,
you see a combination of two things, that there aren't any critical thinking skills, and where fear ties into this, where the fear stems from the legit belief in that thing. And it's crazy because I was just like, I'll just divert just a little bit. Sometimes I'm with different groups of people and I suggest like doing a Ouija board. And I am so surprised to see how many people are like, no, fuck that. We're not bringing any of that shit near anywhere around here. And I'm just really surprised because that's when I most have my critical thinking hat out and I'm like, dude, yeah, but if something like fucking does fall, like we'll fucking walk over there and see what it is.
Yeah.
Shit. Like,
And
come on.
that's something I really got from this type of thinking, like Carl Sagan's type
Mm-hmm.
of critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I personally, and I think I've told you about this, I've had weird experiences with a Ouija board.
Yes.
And instead of being one of those people that's like, no, I would never use a Ouija board again because I don't want demons haunting me, or, you know, I don't want it to screw my life up. Like, to me, it's like, okay, so let me take each of those things that I saw or felt or thought that I saw or felt and break them down and try to get to the bottom of what might have happened.
Right.
Because without any empirical evidence for this stuff,
It could just be a
it
hallucination.
could be just, it could be mass delusion. Like, I could have been heavily influenced by the people around me that I wanted it to be real. So I saw things that maybe weren't really there.
Right.
Like, there's so much that the human brain can do under those conditions in a dark, like poorly lit room with candles burning. And beforehand you say this weird seance, like, of course you're going to see some weird shit if you're in that state of mind and you're a child who's very impressionable. Like, try getting a bunch of like skeptical, scientifically minded adults in a room
and do that
and do it, and you're not going to get the same results whatsoever.
Seriously, that would be a great like clip to see.
We should do it
Like,
sometime.
yeah, or you could have an experiment where you have a group of skeptics and a group of believers do a Ouija board in the same exact room, the same way, with the same number of people,
and watch their different reactions,
and just be like, and see where the fingers move the triangle thing.
who else could we get to do this with us? Like, we need 3 or 4 people, so there's no question.
Dabby I think would still be down, and Chandler the Mandler would still be down.
Okay.
And Emily, I think she would be.
We should film it and then put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, this is what
Be
happens
like
when.
atheists doing Ouija board.
Ooh, I would Google that.
That is great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Cool.
Holy shit. Yeah. So, fuck, we diverged from the beginning, didn't we?
POTUS, getting COVID.
Yeah, no, it's kind of an interesting. You know what's weird? You can assume it's a tactic, but the other thing is that he would have to walk back everything he said about it being a hoax too.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, based on that interview from the beginning where he said he knew it was very real, I think there's no question that he's always known that it's a big deal and it's a serious problem. But I think he's using it as a political tool to try to like pander to his base, which obviously really get riled up over people saying that, you know, we're blowing it out of proportion. We shouldn't be wearing masks. They're taking our freedom away. So those are all political tactics that are really easy to pull the strings of. It's just, to me, that the ethical implications of knowing how big of a deal it is and still playing it off like it's not a big deal.
I think he easily could have convinced the supporters with like, you know, we're going to wear patriotic masks. And if he still wanted to be like kind of racist about the virus, he could be like, you know, our USA flag masks against the China virus, if he wanted to call it that. But like everything you could do to keep everyone safe, you know?
Yeah.
And have everyone in that mindset of like, you know, we're all looking out for each other. This is a serious thing.
And looking at...
Not purposely fueling and trying to create a group of disbelievers, which is like, that's like Joker style, like tactics.
And then did you watch the debate?
Just the highlights. So whatever clips I got will have had contextual editing based on whatever I clicked on. But I mean, you know, if it's back and forth stuff, it seemed like there was a lot of interrupting happening.
I watched the whole thing start to finish, and it was bizarre.
Oh no.
It was like watching a toddler debate another toddler. I mean, Biden obviously was doing his best to try to like just stick to the topics
Yeah.
and like talk, and Trump was just interrupting
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Eventually, Biden was like, "Will you shut up, man?"
Fuck.
And it was just like it was like watching a circus. Like it just didn't feel real. Watching that happening between these two people that are supposed to be the most qualified, prestigious people to run a country. Like it was just like no respect for each other, no orderly, way of going about it. It was just
Dude, and you know what?
frustrating.
The worst part is that because we're in the digital age, that shit gets saved exactly how it is and can be brought up exactly how it was versus it having just been written down about in a newspaper.
Like Abraham Lincoln debating
Holy
his
crap.
running mate. Like,
Holy crap.
yeah. Like, who knows what they really said, but Trump versus Biden, that's on video forever.
Yeah.
And it's going to embarrass the crap out of this country.
And that radio wave is going out into space. So if anybody fucking
Yeah.
listens to that,
Yeah.
they're like, that's how they're electing the leader of the free world. Holy crap. What has happened? Actually it does make sense. The reason we started talking about Demon Hunted World after bringing up.
But then that comment about how, what was his name? David Wallace? Chris Wallace?
Yeah.
David Wallace from The Office.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He kept asking Trump, like, will you just go ahead and denounce, like, white supremacy?
Yeah, and he says, stand back and stand by. Holy
Proud
crap.
Boys.
Holy crap.
Now, the thing is, since then, I've seen a lot of conservatives post videos, like compilations of Trump throughout the last year, people asking him that same question, and him going, of course, I absolutely denounce white supremacy. He has said it, like, 40 times on camera. But why during this debate that everyone in the country is watching,
he couldn't do it?
Just real quick, just say, yes, I denounce white supremacy altogether. Like, just make it real clear.
Right.
Why not?
Why was it so difficult?
And I guess if you watch really closely, for just playing devil's advocate here, when he first asks, Trump goes, sure. Mm-hmm. He says sure twice, like, sure, I will. But then he does, after he like specifies, this is the type of white supremacy I'm talking about. This is racism. Like, do you denounce that? At that point is the right time. You have the floor.
Yeah.
In front of the whole country. Just go ahead and say it.
I denounce racism, the KKK, and any hate or racial hate group. You know?
Why not? It's really
easy.
No.
I know. I think that's, and the headline, it's interesting to hear that, that's a softball.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Interesting though, right?
Yeah, like
it's interesting, like a stutter there, like,
because what better?
How do I meet both? How do I make both parties happy?
Yeah, it's like in his mind he was going, "Oh man, I've got a lot of supporters that are really racist. What do I say here?"
Yeah, versus acting like a person who doesn't care about that vote.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting behavior.
Like, I don't want supporters like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want people that aren't racist.
Yeah. It's kind of, oh, Jesus. Because I think there's shirts saying that slogan now. Oh. So it's like, that can be activated now.
Yeah.
At any point. Which is kind of scary, too. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's, with, no matter what happens in this election, like, on like November 4th, I almost want to go find a bunker somewhere and just like go for like a solid 3 years, just go hide out in the bunker, turn off all radio communications, like,
which is what would have been nice about a society that sets you up that way. Everyone gets the part of the just land evenly, rather than like, kind of being stuck in the way we behaved in the past. That's how empire started out. You have this core center for the economy, and then you live spread out from there, core. And like, but that's how the way it's been from the beginning. Now like we have digital modes of like Uber. The way that business model is insane. There's no need for office or anything like that. It's like the employees use their own resources to work. And with Uber, have you heard in California, Uber and Lyft are both moving out of California.
They're not going to run in California at all anymore because they're trying to pin down these independent contractors basically that are, they own the car.
Yeah.
They just download the app, they become Uber certified, and then they can just, in their free time, whenever they want, go clock in and Uber.
Right.
It's like the gig economy type worker.
Right.
Now they're trying to make them, like, force them to join unions in order to even work. There's all this stuff. They're passing all these laws, making it, like, frustratingly impossible to just drive an Uber. Really? So now Uber, the company, is taking Uber and Lyft. They're both leaving California. They won't operate there anymore at all. It's like every time something awesome like this pops up where it's like, you don't need a boss, you don't need an office, just you can work in your own free time and make your money. So the government's got to stick their nasty little fingers into it.
Do it by the book.
They're like, wait a minute. Style. Yeah, they find a way to ruin everything good, every new innovative idea that pops up. It's like, got to be regulated, got to be fucked up.
That's where I kind of find, like preventative medicine and we can live longer now is cool, but like, there was a natural reset of about 45 years, which was the human lifespan. If a fucking bear didn't kill you before that. But it is important to refresh new ideas. We reelect the president 4 to 8 years, every 4 to 8 years, there's an opportunity for some change. But we have systems of other parts of government where you can have a position for fucking as long as that dude lives. As long as they live, and they can live for a long time now.
Like the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and you can have Congress people who don't know how to question something about digital media and stuff, about how Facebook makes money from ads. And you just watch this thing as a person who's going to inherit the future, and you're like, fuck, these people are in the control. And they're making decisions on something that they don't fucking know anything about.
Yeah.
We barely know anything about even when you get down to the details about how media works, when you Google something and the ad appears on Facebook or the other way around. Or you take a picture of fucking something and you start seeing the ads. And so
that's why everyone should have a VPN.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
I just got one.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Highly recommend it.
Okay, I think
basically it just makes it so that your data is never stored.
Okay.
It sends it to a random IP address from the VPN server and then sends it to the website. So your IP address never appears on Facebook or YouTube or Amazon, wherever. Cool. And as soon as it goes back to the VPN, and it depends on the VPN server, so we can talk offline if you want tips on which one to get.
Yeah.
But usually the VPN provider will, they don't save any of your data at all.
Right,
so as soon as it gets to them, they erase it. So even if, like Snowden talks about this a lot. Yeah. So even if the government comes to the VPN provider and is like, hey, we need the data on this for some case, they're like, we don't have it. It doesn't exist.
Because we don't keep it.
So that means that...
They're the real homies, man.
Holy means that Facebook cannot get your data to sell it to anybody. YouTube can't. Shit. Google can't. Like, it just disappears as soon as you search it. And there's no one tracking your data anymore. So it's kind of awesome. And then Apple just started this new thing. They came out with this most recent update that's going to make it so you can select whether or not you want to store your data in certain apps, or you want certain apps to have your access to your data.
Okay, nice.
And I think it's Apple themselves. So on an iPhone, you can now select that you don't want Facebook to track or store your data, which is going to take so much of Facebook's money away. So I'm sure they're battling the hell out of this.
Oh, you're right.
Because that's their whole business model, like taking your data and selling it to companies and helping people market specifically to you.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully more and more laws like this get passed. I have no problem with making marketing more difficult for these social media companies if it means that people's data are and privacy are more well protected.
Right. I'll want to talk more offline about the VPN.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So them taking the data, like one of the things I tried to do when I learned about all that was like changing my like preferences. And one thing I noticed is like whenever I add a lot of NASA stuff, make sure it's like official, David Attenborough,
Yeah.
and people like that. Excuse me. I noticed that Facebook, they do have a hard time finding real science, which comes to show you how much of a human touch science needs versus an algorithm.
Yeah.
Which is finding a pattern, but not something where it's like facts.
And the algorithms, they want to get you emotionally invested.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that's going to get you the least emotionally invested is some scientific article about some new finding in science that's really good for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just going to be like, oh, that's cool. But what they want to send you is things that are very controversial, things that people are going to argue about and post comment a ton on and fight back and forth. Like, so they want to send you
views,
negative news.
So give you views too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the way those algorithms are built, and the creators of these social media platforms have been on record saying that like
you shouldn't do it.
They've created a monster, and they don't see the good in it anymore. It's really scary. I'm gonna watch a documentary on Netflix tonight called The Social Dilemma.
Oh, my little brother has been telling me to see that.
I'm worried it's gonna make me get a flip phone.
Holy crap, dude!
We'll see what happens.
We'll get one together then.
Okay. I like awesome. If I got a flip phone, I guess I could just get a regular camera to take pictures with. Right. I could get like a calendar to keep track of my appointments. Like. Get a GPS to put in my car.
Dude, seriously.
Like, it might be a good way to go.
Yeah.
But we're out of time. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And we'll catch you later. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.